is on the mainland. Tell him what you want. Jesus is on the mainland. Tell him what you want. You just call him up and tell him what you want. Call him up. Call him up and tell him what you want. Oh, call him up. Call him up and tell him what you want. Call him up, call him up, tell him what you want. You just call him up and tell him what you want. What's up, Renetta? What we say, Renetta? If you're sick and you can't get well, tell him what you want. Oh, if y'all sing with me. You can't get well. Tell him what you want. If you're sick and you can't get well, tell him what you want. You just call him
I
up and
understand a lot
tell
of
him
people see my
what you want. Call him
that's
up.
another lie.
Call him up.
How
Tell him what
do
you
everybody
want. Oh, call him up. Call him up and tell him what you want. Call him up. Call him up. Tell him what you want. You just call him up and tell him what you want. Listen, folks, good. Today is the day. Today is a marvelous day. Let me ask you this question as we get ready for Capri Cares. And know this, know that I care and I always care that I know there are 4 ways to to practice the presence of God. Let that scroll, Renette, at the bottom of the screen. All 6 individuals that have come on today, we say good morning on Facebook and the other apparatuses, YouTube, Twitch. I need you to answer that question. How do you master the practice of the presence of God? How do you do that? How do you and I do that? How do you and I do that? Mastering the presence, the practice of the presence of God. How do you do it, Renetta? And remember, Renetta, everybody put in the chat the Red Sea rules. Everybody put in the chat now. Put that in the chat now. The Red Sea rules. And I thought I had this, Renetta, as a banner. I do. So, how can we master the practice of the presence of God? And we need to learn how to do that. Let me move this. We need to learn how to do that, ma'am and sir. Number one, there it is for those individuals who cannot see this in the what is this TikTok audience. Of course, you got to come to the Facebook, the YouTube, or the Twitch to see what I have presented on the screen. Number one, how do we master the practice of the presence of God? Affirm his nearness in our heart. Number two, his nearness. Is God near to you? Visualize God's presence in your mind. Number three, access God's nearness through prayer. And fourthly, reflect his demeanor, his presence in your demeanor. So that's how we do those things. How do we master the practice of the presence of God? Number one, affirm his nearness in your heart. Number two, visualize God's presence in your mind. Number three, access God's nearness through prayer. And number four, reflect his presence in your demeanor. 4 ways, Renetta. Yes. All right. So, based upon what has been already shared with you through song and now through standard, Renetta, which one, since you're the only one that's engaging right now and I need others to engage, which one of these, Renetta, have you already implemented this morning? Have you affirmed his nearness in your heart? Have you visualized God's presence in your mind? Have you already accessed God's nearness through prayer? Have you reflected his presence in your demeanor? Let me share. Which four have you done already? And this is the one that I've done already. I have visualized God's presence in my mind. I've done some praying too, Kim Perkins. Honestly, I prayed too. But the the first thing I did this morning was visualize God's presence in my mind. So I need you, ma'am and sirs, to understand, if we're going to master the practice of the presence of God, these are four things that we need to do. Renetta said she's accessed through him through prayer. That's good, Renetta. Let me share that. Call him up. Call him up. Yes. Let me do that. What about you, Kim? What about you? Somebody tell me, what have you done already this morning? And remember, this is a spiritual discipline. This is a spiritual discipline that you and I need to make sure that we are embarking upon every day. Good morning, Perian. Perian, we're about to get into our other activity, but every day for the rest of this year, we'll do this. Promise you. All right, y'all. Everybody now put in the chat. Avoidance is a recipe for disaster. Avoidance is a recipe for disaster. Avoidance is a recipe for disaster. So let's talk about the recipe for a minute. Let's talk about a recipe. You know, recipe requires a few things. And for those individuals who need to some scaffolding. That's the word I want to use. Kim, it wasn't coming to me as fast as I wanted it to. Everybody just put in the chat a recipe for disaster. Yeah. Kim said I'm on this road. Kim, you just supposed to say it out loud. You can't be texting and driving. Everybody tell Kim she cannot be texting and driving. So Kim, when you look at everything, some things in your life that you avoided, and there are several reasons why we had to avoid those things. But when you put that recipe together to justify what you did, what I did, which was avoided a situation. I'm not saying we were right, we were wrong, but we just avoided a situation. What were the ingredients in the recipe? Renata, what were the ingredients? Let me remove that. What were the ingredients, Renata? What were the ingredients in the recipe? And I need to put that down. Let me move that. What were the ingredients in the recipe? Boom. What were the ingredients? What was the ingredients, Perian? What were the ingredients, Renetta? I avoided some things. And what was the ingredients? I'm gonna say this. And tomorrow I have a visual. Let me put in there just a recipe, just some simple recipes. Recipes for let me pull up recipes for dinner. Just dinner recipes. Quick and easy dinner recipes. I mean, good morning, Mike. Uh, what did you do? What did I do to put together a recipe for disaster? One of the things, I had a half a cup. Everybody put a half a cup. Just put a half. 0.5. I had a half a cup of being stagnant. A half a cup of stagnation, slothfulness, slowfulness. I had a quarter cup of impatience. Mhm. Half a cup of this, a quarter of a cup of this. Stagnation, impatience. Mhm. I mixed it, Mike. I literally mixed my avoidance with immaturity. Is this helping? Bernetta, is this helping y'all? I'm just being honest. This is what I was doing to create my recipe. And I'm gonna have to land my plane because my 12 minutes is almost here. I had a half a cup, a quarter of a cup. I was stirring it with immaturity. And then I baked it with ignorance. Mm. And I served it from a place of ungratefulness. That was that is my recipe for avoidance. And that's where I'm gonna stop there. Did y'all understand that? Let me ask, did y'all understand that? That was my recipe. That was my recipe. Kim Parker said, "Oh Lord." I mean, come on, Kim, let's be honest. That's my recipe. I mean, that's what we're gonna be working on all this week on Capri Cares, the recipe of avoidance. So now you have a recipe that somewhat highlights why we avoid certain situations. I'm landing my plane. Hey, it's Capri Cares, it's Conversations with Cornelius, it's all of it. Know that I care that I know, and remember this: access God's nearness in your heart and affirm his nearness in prayer. It's Capri Cares. Visualize him in your mind and reflect his presence in your demeanor. Is that Ken Folk? What's going on, Tina? Know that I care that I know. It's Capri Cares. Hey, Aunt Shoma. Hey, Aunt Shoma. Good morning to everybody. Remember, all this week, we're going to look at Aunt Shoma. This is a teaching strategy. It can go in any classroom. And I want everybody to just start implementing it. How do you create a recipe, period, with anything? And I hope this has helped. All right, y'all. I'm over here headed to work, the other jobs. Peace.